Boeing CEO Kelly Ortberg is expected to accompany President Trump on a vital visit to China, joining a key delegation of business officials looking to secure trade benefits for the United States. As part of that visit, hopes for what would be a major new commercial aircraft order are hot on the list of priorities, and the reason very much why Ortberg is tagging along. The news that the CEO accompanying Trump was confirmed to CNBC in the last 24 to 48 hours. Previously, it seemed like just a visit where the president would be attending and his delegates, so the deal, if finalized, would potentially include not just 100 planes. In fact, far in excess of that, nearer to 500,000. The figure of 500 is often thrown around when considering new deals from China, Airbus being the perfect example of that. And if a deal of this magnitude was to actually be secured, well, you can bet your buck on one thing. It would completely reshape the order book and backlog across many different divisions for the manufacturer. Now, that's single aisles and or wide bodies. Such a deal, if secured, would also importantly end a long-standing drought for China in commercial orders from Boeing. This would be the first deal before the turn of the decade, amid the onslaught of quality-related concerns at Boeing, which has drawn heavy criticism around the world, but especially from China. Every aircraft order matters. However, for Boeing, a deal with China will be fundamentally one of the more important it goes on to secure in recent memory if it can get over the line. And that's not just because of the sheer scale of the contract, but the importance behind it. Per Boeing's annual forecast that it puts forward, where it examines the requirement for new commercial aircraft and total fleet sizes in key locations by, say, the next 20 years. China's going to need 8,000 planes, and that will include over 1,000 wide bodies. And the remainder, well, it'll be single-aisle jets. With China's fleet of aircraft also showing its signs of age, it's now more important than ever for airlines that call this market home to secure new deals and delivery slots to allow them to improve their margins and commence the transition to newer aircraft that so many other airlines have already done. Throughout 2026, Boeing's competitor Airbus has been announcing landmark contracts with airlines in China. It has felt like a fortnightly occurrence. All of these in the three-digit figure and monumental in expanding not just these airlines' backlogs, but for Airbus and their A320neo program especially. Now it seems to be Boeing's turn. The 737, MAX 787, and even 7X, all part of pitches to Chinese airlines to overhaul the product and the capabilities of these airlines while reducing operating costs for them. It's an order for, yes, these airlines as much as it is for Boeing and the broader United States. Boeing's China dealings are not like typical contract negotiations that we see with Western airlines. They are, you'd probably best describe as a toxic mix in which safety scandals have compounded already lengthy geopolitical issues that have prevented deals from getting over the line, or more often than not added complications. In more recent history, the 737 MAX crashes of 2018 and 2019 grounded planes around the world. But it was China who, you may recall, pulled the plug on the fleet first. There were some very skeptical of this. Turns out that was the right decision. Whether the motives were right was another thing, but it also meant that China was the last market to return the plane to service as well. It was a decision driven so much as their belief of the quality of the planes Boeing was putting out alongside those toxic relations that I speak about between themselves and the United States. However, because those planes were grounded for so long and the tensions continued, China's airlines continued flying in a post-pandemic world where agreements for new aircraft were simply not present. That meant their aircraft only continued to age. And for the planes that were ordered and on backlog while deliveries froze. And while Airbus has been favored in the last, say, 12 or so months for new planes, the pursuit still exists even in the wake of COMAC and their own C919. Now Boeing is looking to make that final push to secure a sizable contract for new commercial aircraft that would not only boost its 2026 order book, but also, you've got to think, fundamentally support its planned output targets and get it back on track in China, a market it knows is so important to its future success and one it needs to have on good terms, although that can change at a drop of a hat. So going over there and getting this deal over the line is very important. I'd love to hear your opinion down below in the comments. What would your ideal mix be for new orders? Are you including mostly 737 MAXs, or are you dipping into something bigger like the 787 and/or 7X? Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you back here soon for more industry news. Will fly, I will fly.